You excited for this Christmas slate, Chris?
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's having a good start to their day. Everyone's staying safe, and we got some nice slates. We have NBA today, and we have NFL later on. So I'm excited. Christmas NBA is always like one of the best times as a basketball fan. We get all the stars on the same day. We have the games staggered, so we can watch every game individually. We have a showdown slate for every game. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, should be good. It's a long day though, right? The first game and the last game, it's like 12 hours apart.
Yeah, it's pretty long, but I don't think we're waiting on much news, so...
Not much news today, so that makes it a bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump right into the main slate then on Fanduel. Do you want to go game by game? First game?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so for the Pelicans, I don't think there's anyone notable out today. Right now we have for their starters, Ingram, Adams, Williamson, Ball, Bledsoe. Any comments there?
No, it's as expected. So we saw them play once on opening day, or was it on the second day? Doesn't matter, but we saw them, and the biggest takeaway from this team is that Eric Bledsoe should be playing more minutes than last year. He's always been a good fantasy point per minute player, always been around like 1.2, 1.3 points. So if we have him playing around 33 minutes for the Pelicans this year, he's going to be a strong play. He's probably underpriced on both sites just because he's priced similar to last year. So if he does play 33 minutes like we expect him to, he's underpriced on both sites and probably a lock.
Okay. Go to the Heat. Butler's in. I don't know if he was questionable earlier. That's his ankle. Other than that, I don't think anyone notable there. Right now, for their starters, we have Butler, Hero, Robinson, Adebayo, and Harkless. What do you see there, Chris?
So the main guy that stands out here is Tyler Hero. He obviously had that bubble run where he played really well. Now he's in the starting lineup. He's taking a lot of shots similar to Butler and Bam. He's like the third guy. So it's not Dragic, and he's underpriced same way as Eric Bledsoe is for the Pelicans.
Yeah, Dragic is actually more expensive than Hero.
Yeah, exactly. So Hero provides good value on both sides. Just the way salary is on DraftKings today, it's pretty tight. So some of these guys from the Heat do stand out. We have Hero popping up a lot. We have Bam even at center. Some builds with Dragic as well. I like him on DraftKings. He's a bit cheaper, so I don't mind him as a last piece. He's only 5.3k. He should still be able to get there with Hero. I don't mind pairing them together. So yeah, we have a good source of relief here with mainly Hero. If you want to go up to Butler and Bam, I don't mind it. This game has a decent environment. I think the Pelicans might take this one, just straight up. So yeah.
And by relief, you mean a little bit of a cheaper player so that you can get some of the studs higher price players, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because pricing is especially tight on DraftKings today. On Fanduel, it's pretty soft as usual. But yeah, on DraftKings, they really stand out, some of these guys.
All right, let's jump right into the Golden State-Milwaukee Buck game. Let's see, who do we have out? We still have Draymond Green out. Other than that, I think no one worth mentioning. Right now for the starters, it looks like it's the same, I think, as last time. Steph Curry, Kelly Oubre, Andrew Wiggins, Wiseman, and Pascal. What did you make of the Warriors on I think that was the season opener?
Yeah, so they looked awful. They got blown out. But the main takeaway is that they're not playing a lot of defense and they're playing super fast paced. So these games are going to be ones that we're targeting all year. So with the Warriors, we have Steph Curry underpriced on Fanduel again. He's 8-7, which is around $1,000 too cheap. On DraftKings, he's 10.2K, so it's more fair. I don't love him there, but I don't mind him just because his role is so big in this offense. They don't really have anyone else with a monster usage rate. They have Oubre and Wiggins, who didn't shoot the ball well last game. If they shot it a bit better, I think the game could have stayed closer, and we would have had just a better all-around performance from everyone, just because they would have gotten that fourth quarter run.
Yeah. The starters, right?
Yeah, Eric Pascal, I don't love him. He busted for us. He was the main value guy last time out. James Wiseman on Fanduel is 4.2K, which is a mispricing. We saw last game he's pretty good fantasy point per minute player. So at 4.2, especially on a slate where we want to pay up for studs, he's grading out as a really good play on Fanduel at center for value.
Yeah, and that was his first game, NBA game, right? He didn't do the preseason, so
yeah,
should be.
And he got garbage time run. So this game has a spread of 10. So it's probably the only game that has real blowout risk, but the total is just so high. It's 230, the highest one of the slate. So I don't mind getting players from this game.
Okay. Let's jump into the next game. Brooklyn Nets versus Boston.
We skipped over the Bucks, actually.
Oh, my bad. Okay, yeah, for the Bucks, who do we have out? I think just Augustine was probable. For the starters right now, we have Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. How do you like the Bucks this year?
So we saw the first game with Drew Holiday last time out. He looked pretty good out there. Steph Curry's going to be guarding him today, so that's a pretty good matchup for him. Him and Giannis are my favorite plays from this game. I think Drew is too cheap on FanDuel. He's going to be probably the second highest owned point guard. And as for Giannis, he's probably a lock on both sites just because he's in this elite environment where the other team doesn't play defense. I expect him to get fourth quarter run just because I don't like to project blowouts. He probably has upside for 70 points, 70 fantasy points. We have him projected for 57 on FanDuel right now and 60 on DraftKings just because of the extra bonuses. So he's one of my favorite spend ups today in cash games. I think he's going to be the most popular player. And the one difference we might see today is that I think DJ Augustine is playing today. He didn't play in the first game. So that might hurt Drew Holiday a little bit, but I think they can play alongside each other. I think it probably hurts someone like Dante DiVincenzo a little more than Drew Holiday.
Okay. Okay, let's jump now into the next game.
Yeah, and I just want to say the show's starting a little later, so we're going to be going all the way into lock, and if there's any breaking news or anything like that, there probably isn't going to be because there's only one game that starts at lock. But yeah, so we'll be going over our processes leading up to lock today.
Yeah, I'll be building my GPP lineups today on stream. Okay, yeah, so the next game, Brooklyn at Boston. No one mentionable out for both teams, I'd say. Let's go over Boston first. Let's do their starters they have right now: Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Thompson, and Tice. What did you make of the Celtics in their first game?
They looked good, but they had that weird starting lineup with Tristan Thompson and Tice. So I think that was mainly to counteract the Bucks. So they like having Tice on Giannis, and they put Tristan Thompson on Brook Lopez. So today, I don't think we see that starting lineup. I think we might see Jeff Teague move into the starting lineup, or maybe someone like Javonte Green. He didn't see the court last game, but I think it was more matchup based. As for the players, we saw what Tatum and Brown can do with no Hayward, no Kemba, no Kemba. So Tatum had the insane usage rate. It was almost 40%. He shot 28 times. So he's 9.8K on Fanduel. I believe he's a little less on DraftKings. Do you know, Gary?
I'll just open it up right now. He's
he's 9.3 on DraftKings. So I like him a lot. He's probably in the tier of Giannis and Luka, but he's not priced that way yet. We're not seeing him pop a lot just because it's still Jason Tatum, but
that's a big step from last year, right? Put him in that.
Yes. Yeah, so we still have him projected at 45, which is pretty high, but I think that he has sneaky upside to break the slate. Like we saw last game, what did he score? He scored 50 and on 28 shots, like I was saying. So there's a lot of upside there. He has the ball in his hands a lot. And also Jaylen Brown. He also shot 24 times last game. He had a 30% usage rate. So I like him a lot with Tatum. If you think this game is the shootout of the slate, I would stack them along with some pieces from the other side. As for DraftKings, Jeff Teague really stands out in my builds. He's only 4-2 on DraftKings, so he's in almost all my builds right now just as a salary relief because the pricing is so tight. Otherwise, there's only a few good value plays. So, yeah, I like Jeff Teague a lot. He's probably my main Celtics piece on DraftKings in cash games. I don't mind Jaylen Brown on DraftKings. He's 7K, so a better price than Fanduel there.
Okay, let's go over the Nets now. No injuries there, notable. Starting lineup, we have Irving, Dinwiddie, Harris, Jordan, and Durant. They were pretty exciting to watch in the first game. It wasn't that close, so they look pretty good this year. What do you think of them?
Yeah, so they had the blowout, which kind of put a cap on their performances. They were in the first half. They looked really good, but at the same time, they only played 16 or 17 minutes. I'm talking about KD and Kyrie. So if we double that with no blowout, that's like 34 minutes. So it's decent, but it's definitely not in the same tier as Giannis and Curry and Luka we'll be talking about later. On Fanduel, KD is only 8.5, which I really like. It's pretty cheap for KD, especially if we do think that his minutes are higher than the 34 that we project. Kyrie also 8.9K. If you want to pivot off of Steph Curry, who's going to be mega chalk, I don't mind him. Yeah, other than that, not really anyone that stands out for me.
Okay, let's go into the next game. Dallas versus the Lakers. In terms of injuries, no one for either team there. Just LeBron James and AD, they're always probable. That's all we have there. We can go over the Mavericks first. Right now we have Doncic, Richardson, Finney Smith, Hardaway Jr., and Powell starting. What do you think of the Mavericks this year?
This year, I don't mind them. KP is still out, so Luka's going to be someone we're targeting a lot. He doesn't really fit today's construction just because, as I've been saying, the pricing is tight today. I think that on DraftKings, Maxi Kleber is coming off the bench, but he provides that value at 3.5K that we don't really have on this slate. He sort of fits as the last piece. He makes the rest of the lineup work, which I don't mind. So he's been splitting minutes with Dwight Powell. He played 25 last game. Kleba did, and Powell played 17. So yeah, I like him as a value piece. Obviously, Luka Doncic, he's playing against LeBron James. You always like that matchup. He's a stud, clearly. We saw him last game. He didn't really have a shooting stroke. He was getting most of his points on drives, which was it was kind of disappointing, honestly. It gave him the floor, but if he was hitting his shots, he could have had a monster game. So he just needs to shake off that rust a little, I guess. There's not really much else here, just because the offense is so centered around Luka Doncic. Josh Richardson is the last piece. I don't mind him. He's, do you know his price on DraftKings? I think it's around 5.4K. So I like Josh Richardson as a last piece if you need him on DraftKings. But yeah, other than that, there's not really anyone that stands out too much here.
Okay, let's go into the Lakers. Right now, for them, we have Schroeder starting, Caldwell Pope, LeBron James, Marc Gasol, and Anthony Davis. What do you think of them today? Not this year.
Yeah, so LeBron James, we got the report last game that he was playing in short spurts. So he didn't play the last, 8 minutes of that game. So I think they do want to play him a little less just because they only had around 70 days since they played in the bubble. So he didn't get a lot of rest. So I think he's gonna have a slow start to the season fantasy-wise. So I would rather play other guys in that price range over LeBron James, like Giannis, like Luka, like Steph Curry. AD, same sort of thing. I don't love his minutes. He only played 30 first game, so they're probably easing him back in as well. Although this is a Christmas Day matchup, so you never know how much more they'll play. Dennis Schroeder looked good last game. He had the 27% usage rate, so that's pretty high if you're playing with LeBron and Luka. I mean, LeBron and AD. Mm-hmm. So I like him. He scored 40 points last game.
Do you think we'll see a high usage rate with him again, or do you think that was an anomaly?
Well, I think because they're easing LeBron in, he's playing less minutes, so Dennis gets more minutes. I don't know why I keep saying Luka. Dennis gets more minutes where he's the primary ball handler, which helps him. So I like him in GPPs. He's probably a decent cash play on FanDuel if you need him as a last piece. Montrezl Harrell also, he had the big game on opening night. He came off the bench. I think Gasol was in early foul trouble, which helped Harrell. As Harrell has been all his career, he's a fantasy point per minute beast. If he gets the minutes, he always seems to get there. But the main question is, how many minutes will he play?
That's a good question. Okay, jump into the last game we have right now. Clippers against Denver. In terms of injuries for this game, for the Clippers, we still have Marcus Morris out. Other than that, nobody there. Their starters right now, we have Patrick Beverley, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Ibaka, and Nick Batum. What do you think of them?
So the Clippers, they're decent targets today. I wouldn't play them on DraftKings just because we have better value players on other teams. They're just a little too expensive for me. I don't see anyone that stands out on DraftKings at all. Maybe someone like Ibaka. We saw him get the limited run on opening night, so if he does get a little more minutes, I think he could get there. But yeah, other than that, this team is pretty thin for me.
Okay, and then for Denver, we have Jamal Murray probable with the left calf. JaMychal Green out, and that's it. For their starters right now, we have Jamal Murray, Harris, Porter Jr., who had a really good game, last time. Jokic and Millsap, how do you like them today?
Yeah, so as you said, Michael Porter Jr. had the big game. He started over Barton last game, so I expect the same thing. This team lost JaMychal Green. No, JaMychal Green is on their team now, and they lost Jeremy Grant. So that's sort of a bump to someone like Paul Millsap. He has a higher minutes floor. He looked really good in the first game. He had around 36 minutes, I believe. Yeah, 36. Obviously, it was an OT game, so he got a little extra. But just that 30-minute floor that he has without Jeremy Grant there anymore helps him for his price tag. Someone like Michael Porter Jr., I think he's a key piece of builds just because he's underpriced. He was in that starting role, and he seemed to build off his bubble performance. If you want to talk about Gpp plays, there's Nikola Jokic, who isn't going to be in our cash builds today, probably just because there's other priority spends today. So I don't mind Jokic for GPPs. He obviously had the huge game, the huge triple-double. I believe he put up over 70 fantasy points, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, I think 75 it was. Fanduel, something.
Yeah, so obviously he's a good lower owned target if the game shoots out.
Okay. I think that's all the games we have. Finished a little bit earlier today, faster. There's less games today. It's not a 13 game monster slate like it was the last time. So I think we're gonna have more time this show to actually go over construction and questions as we go into lock. Yeah, we'll do Q&A today, just all throughout, I guess, from now to the end. And might be a little busy because we're both going to be building our lineups as we do the show leading into lock, but there's quite a bit of time, so it should be no problem if there's any questions.
So do you want to build a cash team on both sites and then maybe a GP build on both sites?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to start with Fanduel or DraftKings first?
We could start with Fanduel. I think the build there is pretty obvious. So yeah, once you get to Fanduel, we can go over point guard. I think that Steph Curry is probably a lock for me today. Should I do a core? Should I just say that now, or should I put it in the Discord, or what do you think?
What if we just make a player group in here and just call it core, cash core?
Sure.
You want to do that?
Yeah, so I would put Steph Curry, Drew Holiday, Eric Bledsoe, Michael Porter Jr., and Giannis. So we got a pretty big Fanduel core today just because the pricing is so... It makes the build sort of obvious. Yeah, so we have those 5 guys, yeah.
This is your cash core here? Fanduel?
Yeah. So if we start building with that, if we go to point guard and plug in those 2 guys, we can see how much we have remaining.
Plug in Drew and
Curry.
Yeah,
so I think these guys are the main targets that we'll have on point guard. Just because Luka's a bit more expensive, we don't really need him with Giannis. We'll have Giannis plugged in later. So he's hard to get. There's not really too much value. So moving to shooting guard, someone like what's his name? Paul George. Obviously, like last game, he won you all that money. People don't like playing him, but I think he's still too cheap. His price didn't move. He's 7.6. So I don't mind him there.
I don't mind him anymore either.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't. Do you want Do you want to plug in the core Eric Bledsoe and the rest of the core into that build?
Yeah. It's just... Oh.
So it's Giannis and it's Michael Porter.
Yeah, maybe that.
And then, yeah, so for this position, it's mainly, for the second shooting guard slot, it's mainly Paul George versus Jimmy Butler for me. That's the only decision. I lean the Paul George side in that position just because he's a little cheaper. So we have 5.4k remaining. So I'm not saying we have to plug Paul George in, but if we do, what's the remaining salary we have?
4.7.
Yeah, so I think we can work with that. We can just remove him for now, though. Okay, so moving to small forward, obviously Michael Porter Jr. is a lock. Looks like we have a little bit of a bug in that lineup preview. We have power forward showing there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. So Michael Porter Jr., obviously a lock for me. We assume he's starting, so he's just too cheap at 5.4k for his usage rate. Pairing him with someone like Tyler Hero makes a lot of sense. We were talking about him earlier in the show. He's just too cheap for the role that he's in now as the third guy, as the starting 3 guard for them. He shot 14 shots last game, which was nice to see. He's only 5k. If he shot a little higher of a percentage, he would have had a monster game. He just had a decent game last time, so I like him a lot in my cash builds. Yeah, I wouldn't lock him there, but I think he's a decent player to build around. Someone else, Dorian Finney-Smith, he played a decent game last time out against the Suns. He's only 4.2 on Fanduel. He has the high steal and block upside, but you gotta hope that he hits the 3-pointers, because Luka's obviously going to be dishing it to him in the corners. So if he's hitting them, he could have a decent game. If he's not, he could have a floor game, which is not something you love to hear for a cash guy, but I think he has a good enough salary that he's playable as a last piece at small forward. And then moving on to power forward, we have Giannis locked in. Obviously, he's the main guy we're trying to get today just because of the game environment. Obviously, he's Giannis. He has 70-point upside. Pairing him with someone like KD would be nice if we could get there. I don't know if we can, just because we have guys like Curry, guys like Drew that we're trying to get. So it's hard. If you put in KD, how much salary do we have remaining?
If we put in, let's see, 1 sec. 4.4.
Yeah, so that makes it a little tough if we put in KD with Giannis. So someone I like there for relief is Paul Millsap. I was talking about him earlier. Without Jeremy Grant there, he has a higher minutes floor. We'll have to see if JaMychal Green is playing today, but I don't think it'll affect things too much. I like Paul Millsap a lot there.
Okay.
And then center, obviously, we have James Wiseman versus Daniel Tice. I like Wiseman there just because he looked really good. His price didn't move. I think that's a mispricing. He probably should be 5k plus now.
Yeah.
So the only real concern with him is foul trouble. I think that if Giannis has some drives into him, he can get him into foul trouble just because he's a rookie. So as long as we don't see that, I think James Wiseman has a solid game tonight.
Wiseman likes to get up there to block shots, right?
Well, it seemed like it, and just Giannis gets the superstar calls, obviously, so
yeah,
you don't love that, but the pricing makes it work. He's 4.2.
Okay.
So he's probably the main guy I'm considering at center.
Lock him in?
No, let's not do that. And you can remove Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Okay, we can go to DraftKings now, I guess.
So this is your core pretty much right here that you like.
Yeah, with Giannis over KD.
Oh.
Yeah. So if we go to DraftKings, we can make another player group for my core, I guess.
Yep.
This is a cash core, by the way.
Yeah, both. The first one and this one.
Yes. So I put Eric Bledsoe there. Again, just like Fanduel, he's underpriced for his role. If he's getting 33 minutes like the first game, he's just too cheap. I like Jaylen Brown. I like Giannis. Kleba, sorry, I was talking about him earlier. And then Jeff Teague. Yeah, so if we go to the lineup preview and plug those guys in, we'll see how much salary we have remaining and see what we could do to build. Are you going to go through a GPP build later after this?
I think I'll be building mine, just going through my process.
Okay.
Things up with this search though right now. Does the search work for you, Chris? On DK?
You could just lock them in without searching. There's not many players today.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have Bledsoe at 5'6". We have Giannis. Obviously. We have Jaylen Brown, Jeff Teague, and Maxi Kleba.
What are their prices?
Jaylen Brown is $7K.
Kleba is
3.5, and Jeff Teague is 4.2. Yeah, so Jeff Teague 4.2, Kleba 3.5. We project him right now as the highest owned player on the slate. Kleba, just because of the pricing, he makes the rest of the build fit and gives you the ability to get other studs in there. So yeah, for these last three positions, there's a few different ways we can go. I like I was talking about earlier, like Josh Richardson, just in that last piece role. He has the minutes floor on Dallas. The game is projected to stay close. Someone else we were talking about at the start of the show, Tyler Hero, he's too cheap on DraftKings as well. We have him as close to a lock on Fanduel. I wouldn't call him a lock, but we have him close to it. So yeah, if we plug these two guys in, I would probably remove Josh Richardson. I'm not prioritizing him, but I don't mind him there. Yeah, so if we have Hero there without Richardson, we have 6.6K, which is enough to get you guys like, I don't know, you can look at someone like Bam, you can look at someone like Jimmy. Guys like that in that range, that 8K range makes sense there. So with this build, we have a lot of flexibility just because we have 6.6 remaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the DK. That's my thought process for DK today.
Okay, I like it. It's a good place to start for everyone. And obviously, if you have our tool, you can just plug these guys in and then click build and see the different variations that our optimizer gives you.
Yeah, so you could actually do that now, I guess, and we can go over some of the differences between them. We can do that for Fanduel as well.
Okay.
And then once you see that,
these are with the core cash plays that Chris gave out. These are the builds that we have top 10 right now. With all
so if we look at it, we have two main builds that stand out. The first two have a 1.2 projection over the next, at least. So the difference between the first two is Dragic and who is it? Hero? No, Dragic and. Do you see, Gary?
The first one?
Yeah, so what's the difference between the two? It's just Dragic versus Richardson, right? Just a 1v1.
Yeah, there's no Richardson in the second one. And
Yeah, so it's Dragic versus Richardson. The 1v1, that's probably the 1v1 that I'm going to be deciding between for DraftKings today. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I think Richardson has a better floor just because he's starting. He's going to get 36 plus minutes. So I like that he's projected a little more by our site. I don't mind Dragic either. He probably has a little more upside, but he's not starting, so his floor is a little lower. Also, pairing him with Hero, it lowers our correlation a little bit just because they kind of cannibalize into each other.
Yeah.
They play the ball handler role for Miami, so I'm probably leaning Josh Richardson for DraftKings cash right now as that last piece.
Okay.
And then, is this Fanduel?
Yeah, I'm just going to add that player group because I'll probably have that. Not have more than one of those guys.
So, could you go to Fanduel? Sorry.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, Fanduel, yeah, with our core, the first team is pretty obvious. Looking between the top two, it's Jimmy Butler and Dorian Finney-Smith versus Paul George and Hero. I think it's obviously the Paul George Hero side. That team makes a lot of sense. It's probably going to be the team that a lot of pros have. There's not really much to deviate from with those guys. Like, they all make sense. They all fit. So,
yeah,
that team looks really good.
Narratives of all the games that you went over. The first
Yeah.
lineup.
Yeah.
It looks clean.
For sure. I might play Wiseman over Tice. That's the only thing that I might be different on. But yeah.
We have an ESPN fantasy question.
What is it?
YouTube. Did I drop Wendell Carter for Barton today?
Wendell Carter for Barton?
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, okay. And
I'm not a fan of Wendell Carter.
Okay, and then we have 2 questions backlog from Aiden on Discord. First one, Wiseman the lock in GPP on FanDuel. I don't know if I would put him as a lock myself, but Chris likes him today. He's cheap.
For me, it's hard to lock a center in just because there's only one
slot.
FanDuel. Yeah, so you lose the rest of the position by locking someone in. But yeah, I don't mind Wiseman. We had a question from YouTube: favorite FanDuel shooting guard, all formats. I think it's Eric Bledsoe, just because he's too cheap for his new role. So last year he was playing around 28 minutes, obviously with Coach Bud and Giannis with him. In the new role this year, he's playing around 34 minutes. Excuse me. So I think Eric Bledsoe is that guy today at shooting guard.
Okay. One more question on Discord again. 2v2 for cash on FanDuel. Butler, Finney Smith, or Paul George Hero?
Yeah, so we went over that a little when we were doing the FanDuel build. I think it's the Paul George Hero side. Okay, and then we have one on YouTube. It says KCP in FanDuel. I probably wouldn't do it. I'm not a big KCP guy. I think that there's just better players we can play there, like Bledsoe, maybe Schroeder. Yeah, I'm not too big on KCP today.
Okay.
So what are we gonna do now?
Well, now I'm just gonna set up some of my player groups for the contests that I'm playing. Because I have 3 slates to prepare for.
Okay, the 3 that are, which slates are those?
It's one on Fanduel, the main slate, and then on DraftKings I have 2 main slate, and then the first Showdown. I'll start 9 a.m. or I guess 12 Eastern.
Okay, so which ones are you starting with, or which build are you going to start with?
I'm gonna just do Fanduel.
Fanduel main.
Or yeah, for that one.
How many lineups?
Hmm?
How many lineups?
150 for that one. But usually the way I like to do it for if I'm doing 150 lineups, I like to build 20 lineups to start just to see what the optimizer gives me, and then kind of build out from there because I don't want to wait for it to build 150 right away. Because the first 20 lineups usually give you a good idea of how all the pieces are going to plug in together.
Yep. So what do you see from these first 20? Do you have any groups that we had in before right now?
Yeah.
Are you going to keep those?
Well, yeah, let me open it. I think one thing I just want to say, don't refresh your page if you're doing player groups, because right now those actually disappear. We'll be making it so it actually syncs to your account, so even if you switch browsers, all your settings will follow your account, so you won't have to worry about that soon. But for now, just be wary of that. Yeah, I have your group here, but I think since it's 0 to maximum 10, it doesn't. It's as if it's not there, so I'm just gonna keep it there. It doesn't do anything. The other group that I have is the Hero Dragic one, so I don't want more than one of those guys in my build. Other than that, settings I have right now, it's the default ones, so I'm just checking its default. And then first thing I look at is actually the player's card to see what the actual percentages are, and then kind of see if I'm over or under on certain players compared to the field. And
so are you trying to target any specific games, any specific players, or are you just still trying to read the slate a bit?
Still reading the slate a bit, trying to look at it. Because right now Wiseman's quite a bit over the field. I don't really mind. Probably there's not many Clipper players, like, because you said you didn't like that game that much, right?
Yeah, like my favorite game is the Warriors-Bucks game, so I think, yeah, even if you look at your top guys, you have three there that are Warriors-Bucks.
Yeah. Let's see what I have here. Probably just do the same thing quickly for the other slates that I'm playing.
Just build them out, or what?
Yeah, build them out so I have it there, make sure I have all the settings, and then kind of make more, like, a little bit more adjustments before I build the full thing.
Are you doing 150 on the other 2 slates as well in DraftKings?
No, I'm just doing 20 on DraftKings on both.
For the main and for the Showdown?
Yeah.
So how does your strategy differentiate when you're going between 150 and 20 entry max contests?
I think for the 150, I think there's more room for, I guess, randomness and for the optimizer to do its thing. So I guess I would mess around a bit more with the build there. For the 20 ones, I kind of like to leave the projections as they are and let them sort of decide the build that I get.
Yeah, I think for the 20 entry max, it makes sense to have a tighter core.
Yeah. One thing I do like to do though is if I'm playing a 20 entry max contest, but I have 2 of those contests, I actually like to build like 40 lineups and then sort of rank, like in my CSV file, put the more expensive contest at the top and then the cheaper one at the bottom, and then have 40 unique lineups across the 2 contests.
That makes sense. So you're just diversifying your pool a bit.
Yeah. Open up.
So are you still on this Fanduel build? I actually think you have guys locked. That's why you were getting everyone at 100%.
Let me check that out.
You could just go to locked at the bottom or locks and go to all.
Just have 1 lock actually.
No, I mean you're only on power forward right now.
Oh yeah, okay.
So you have all those guys locked.
The locks.
Yeah. I think on DraftKings you had the same thing. So, which game are you most excited to see today?
Probably Dallas.
Dallas, LA?
Yeah. That'll be the most exciting one for me.
I like the Nets Celtics game just because I want to see how KD and Kyrie will do.
Yeah.
Again, with more minutes, hopefully. I like them a lot in GPPs.
Okay, let's see. Right, I'm just going to look at the projections again and see the highest value players that we have. And then build out again now that I removed the locks and sort of see what happens.
You should you can just drag the column over to the left and then you can see the point per dollar and player name at the same time.
Yeah. I'm just not going to do it now because my computer's kind of struggling to keep up with streaming as well.
Okay.
Do you think the Warriors game will be close? Can the Warriors keep it close?
Yeah, the spread is 10, so that means that Vegas projects at the end of the game it's going to be a 10-point lead for the Bucks. So, assuming that, I think that Curry and all the Warriors and Giannis and the main Bucks guys will still be in at the end of the game. So, I don't really worry too much about it. I think the game environment makes it too good to pass up for that concern.
I think I'm getting any Luka actually. I want some.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, Curry and Drew are like a little too cheap for their roles on FanDuel. So we're almost coming up to 10 minutes until lock.
Yeah.
What are you doing with your build right now?
I just adjusted a few mins and
Which
maxes
guys?
just to see what I get here.
What did you change?
Minimized, I think. Added a minimum for Luka, and then Curry was at 100. Now he's at 40. I think maybe a bit more Curry.
So you added a minimum of 40% to Luka?
Yeah.
So that means at least 40% of your builds will have Luka, and then you added a cap to Curry at 40?
Yeah.
So maximum of 40% of your builds will have Curry. Did you change it?
Yeah, I'm increasing it to 70 for Curry. But
So you're getting a lot of Luka. Now you're getting less Giannis, right? He's only 62.
Some Giannis, but not with Curry and Luka. Yeah, another thing I like to do is when I'm building like 40, I like to see what the number 1 lineup total is, and then the bottom lineup total. And then when I make an adjustment, like if I were to add something with the projected ownerships, like if I do one lineup with
something we can see after the slate locks is who some of my favorite players picked, my favorite DFS players picked in the first game, just so we can see where we differentiate. So we can go over a bit of some other pros.
Yeah, can do a bit more after the lock, right?
Yeah, so you're building 150 now? What did you change, if anything?
It's a little tough, first time doing this on stream and thinking, so probably not my best build. But
just talk us through your process.
Well, right now I just added a one player, I think under 10% in each build to see how that was. I built 40 with that, and then I liked how it looked. Like, it didn't look too different. The projected fantasy points per team when I did 40 builds with before that rule and then after that rule. So I'm just gonna do that rule for 150 and go with it.
Okay.
And then I just need to.
Seems kind of tough if you're building all your Fanduel and Draftkings at the same time.
Yeah, it is. It's a little tight today.
Yeah. So right now I'm just entering some more contests on Fanduel, just because I like my build. Are you going to play any of the showdowns later today?
Yeah, I'm playing quite a few of them actually. So I think I'll have more time for those, so I'm excited to do those. Just gonna enter this lineup. Oops.
Well, you're getting a lot of Josh Hart, or not a lot, but some Josh Hart, which will make you pretty different. Some Kyle Kuzma. So you have the 10% rule now, right?
Yeah.
Are you exporting them?
Yeah, I'm gonna put these into Fanduel, and then there's nothing wrong there, and then do the DraftKings ones.
You might be a little tight on time.
Yeah, might be tight. So I'm probably just gonna stick more to the projections for this one and not deviate too much from there.
But you're only doing 20 entry max, right?
Yeah, it's not too high stakes today because I kind of knew it was tight, but I'm playing the single game ones just as much, or a bit more actually.
Do you prefer the showdown slates over the full roster slates, or what?
I love the full roster, except just today it is kind of tight, so a bit lighter there.
Yeah, it's hard for us on the West Coast. It's a little early. It's a lot easier if we were on the East Coast. It would be noon right now, so we would already have a few more hours in our day. Do you think you can ship one today?
Yeah, every day. Why not?
That's your thought process every day?
That's my thought process every day. We have one question. You can answer it maybe. I think you're free, right?
Yeah.
Freed up. From Aiden, he's asking single slate New Orleans at Miami. Bam or Butler MVP?
I would probably say Bam. I think he has higher upside just because of his... Was this cash or GP, do you know?
I'm guessing it's cash, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would say Bam for both, honestly. I think that he has a higher floor. So are you getting your DraftKings ones in?
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it as is pretty much, and then hopefully have a bit of time to make some more adjustments after I get more or less the default optimizer ones in.
So we have 5 minutes until lock for anyone listening.
I got that one in. This one.
Did you add any rules?
I'm going to probably edit this one a bit more after I get it in it, because I just want to get some different entries in here. But I do like our projections always. By default, they're solid. But I do want to make a few adjustments. But it's just the time. So I'm actually excited to play the single games later on, because I'll have a bit more time to do this. Okay, yeah, so I think I'm good. I think my Fanduel I changed quite a bit. Probably just focus on this one a bit right now.
The Showdown Slate?
Yeah. Probably just going to try to see who I like at captain today. Let's see what we have right now. A lot of Bam.
Bam, 50% captain. So we have...
Yeah, go for it. What?
Oh, someone wants the core and he's not in the stream. He says he can't view it. So I'll type that out, I guess. Just give me 1 sec. So Bledsoe, Giannis, Teague, Kleba.
Yeah, so again, one thing I always like to look at is like my bottom lineup built by the optimizer and the top one, and then sort of see what a new rule, how it affects the total projected points for the teams, because you don't want to, if I'm doing too much deviation from the optimals and it's affecting the total fantasy points, don't want to do that too much.
So how much did it change there?
This one, I think the bottom one was around 209 and now it's 195, but for a single game I think it's fine. I probably wouldn't.
So did you lock in hero at captain?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
And then 2 uniques?
Yeah. Again, this isn't probably. I'd probably be a bit more thorough with more time, but still comfortable with this one.
Yeah, so we have 2 minutes until lock.
So I think I like that one. Take another look at the other DraftKings main. See if I can do anything there. I mean, there's only, I guess, 1 minute, probably not.
Yeah, around 1 minute. I'm just making sure that I have everything set here with my teams. I have everyone I like. Yeah, I don't think anything's changed.
Yeah, I think I'll just keep the ones I have right now. Wrong with them. So these builds here that I did with limited time, I guess they're more reliant on the actual projections that we give here. And it's still solid. Usually, always, most of the time. It makes it a lot easier when you have a good starting point.
Yep.
Yeah, already locked, so I'm not going to do anything here.
Okay, so do you want to go? Let's go into some contests and see. You can just go to our tool and go to contests at the bottom.
Okay.
We can start on Fanduel.
Fanduel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold up.
So
Hold up, one sec. Let me just check one thing. The next slate is in...
I think 3 hours.
3 hours, okay, yeah, lots of time. Okay. Let's see. Contests, DraftKings.
Can you start on Fanduel, actually?
Fanduel, yeah.
So if we go to, this is what I usually do on any slate, any sport. I go to double up. I search double up in the search bar.
Yep.
And then I go to like a 100 entry double up. So I would go to like a $10 double up with 100 people.
This one?
If you just at the bottom of the page.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, click the result link. The second one.
Should we explain what this is in our tool? Quickly? You want to go over it?
Yeah, so it's just it shows all the contests. You can do your research from here. You can see what other people did. So that's what we're doing right now. Doing this.
Yeah.
So
just collects all the contests on Fanduel and DraftKings. Sort of make it easier on you, because in hindsight you can kind of see and look through the contests here and sort of study what other people do and see which contests are ideal for your strategy.
Yeah, so that's what I always do. I look at my favorite players, and on Fanduel I assume all of my favorite players will have the same team as me today, just because I think it was obvious. So I think that anyone that has the projected optimal today will have Bledsoe and Hero locked in right now. So if you go back to the first page, we can just go through a few people that I like. So there's J Rake, like the fifth guy.
On the right,
yeah. Yeah, so Bledsoe and Hero. If you go to next page, we can see a few more guys. I don't see anyone here. Next page. Next page. Yeah, we have Hoop.
Next page, please.
Same thing. Showcase at the bottom. Yeah, same thing. So I expect this lineup to be pretty heavily duped today, which isn't usually a good thing. Hopefully it's the optimal, so we don't have to split money with the train.
Not a good thing in terms of prize pool winnings, or
well, it's bad to have the same lineup as anyone in the same contest, just because it lowers your.
Usually a good sign though if your lineup is the same as the pro players.
Right? Yeah, of course, yeah.
Means your thought process leading up to the lineup is correct.
Yeah,
more correct.
Yeah, could you go to the next page? Let's see if there's anyone else in here. So we have Empire Maker. I'm in here as well. Yeah, same thing, Bledsoe Hero. Yeah, so all the top guys today seem to have landed on the same sort of starting point. We'll see if it changes with news later on. I don't think there's anything that we're waiting on. We can go through DraftKings now. I think there's a few players locked. We can see if some pros did Dragic over Richardson, which is something I'm interested in. So if you search double up, and then we can go into the $250 one. We want to go in the smaller entry size just because we can see more people. Yeah, so if we go into the 35 entry one, yeah, the top one, click the result link.
Oh.
Yeah, so we have. Let's see who we have right now locked. We have Hero, Bam, and Bledsoe.
All super chalky right now.
Yeah, so same as Chipotle Addict. I think most of the pros here will have the same thing. Yeah, Hero, Bledsoe, Bam. So it's good that we went Richardson over Dragic in cash.
Empire Maker actually put in Robinson.
Yeah, he probably has. Sometimes he does that. He goes a little different. Can we see what McLovin did? Yeah, same thing. How about Shoke? Just above McLovin.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah, same thing. And then can we see who else played here? B. Kreider. In the middle. Yeah.
Adams.
Oh, that's surprising. That makes me think maybe he forgot to update it. I don't think Adams is a good play today.
It's Christmas. Maybe he slept in.
Yeah. Yeah. Go down a bit. Let's see who else is here. Maki Supa.
Only one of them.
Just Bledsoe. How about Make It Rain? Yeah.
Chalk.
So I think we have a decent starting point here. We're in line with most pros. Some of them faded the chalk a bit, but for the most part, I think it's a good start.
Yep. That's the kind of homework you have to do to sort of get better at daily fantasy sports. Sort of, you do have to look at what other successful players do. You want to.
Yeah. So after each game locks, this is what I do. I'll go through them and see what other people did and see where I'm different. If I'm different, and try to put myself into their shoes and see why they did what they did. Like, for example, that guy went Steven Adams. Yeah. I'll probably look at some Steven Adams builds later and see who he got for having to play Steven Adams there over Bam. So yeah, you could just try to put yourself into other people's shoes.
Yep.
And see their thought process.
Okay. Anything else for today, or?
No, I think we're good. I think we just have to go watch the games, have a good Christmas, and yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to just go over that promotion quickly that we have? Plug it in.
Yeah, we can. So we have on Twitter, we have a pinned tweet. It's basically giving out a monthly pass to anyone we're doing a giveaway for a monthly pass. We'll pick one winner once we reach 100 YouTube subs. Yeah, so all you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube and retweet the tweet in our description. And yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys all have a good Merry Christmas. Enjoy your time off with your family. Enjoy watching these games. That's what I'm going to do. And hopefully you guys also play some of the single game slates later on. I'll be in Discord all day, so if you guys have any questions, I'll be there to answer them. And I'll definitely have more time to build those, so I'm more excited for those myself. And yeah, I think we'll be back. There's games tomorrow, right?
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, probably at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, so tune in tomorrow. And yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, bye.